Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. I am doing another guest choice review, and this time it's with Dude, It's the News. How you doing?
I am doing very well. Orange Hat Reviews, thank you for having me on today. I appreciate that.
You're very welcome. And if you guys in the chat want to come on to Dude, It's the News, you get to pick the time, the date, and the movie. And we come onto my channel and we discuss it, preferably a movie that we both enjoy. And it's all for guest convenience. So today is Dude, It's the News is convenience. Their best convenience. So yeah. And we decided to go over 1986, the Transformers movie.
That's right.
Now, this movie is actually really does bring me back to childhood. I mean, full-blown childhood. Now, let me close out of that one for a little bit. Sorry, I had a couple tabs up that I had to get rid of.
No problem.
And so 1986, a Transformers movie was made. One that had great voice talent, Peter Cullen, who was already well known as the voice of Optimus Prime. Leonard Nimoy is the voice of Galvatron. But the greatest voice talent in this movie was the voice of Unicron, Orson Welles, the great Orson Welles.
His last role, actually. He died.
I mean, when he's that sucks too. This movie, or when he spoke during this movie, or in this movie, he radiated menace.
And he actually really enjoyed making this movie as well. He really enjoyed it. If you know Orson Welles, you know obviously he was a bit surly at times, but he made some comments because this movie, bottom line, it's a toy commercial, and Orson Welles knew that. But he absolutely loved doing this movie, and I can imagine if he continued living on, he probably would have finished it. I'm sure.
So this movie's synopsis, a small brief synopsis for the movie, was the Autobots are fighting on two fronts, one against Unicron and against an all-out assault from the Decepticons. Now, that is semi-true, because it's not really they're both attacking the Autobots at once. It's like they're usually dealing with their usual skirmishes, and then Unicron comes along.
Shit. When they're both at their weakest and defeated, that's when Unicron sweeps in, which is, I kind of like that, where like the larger, greater enemy comes in to devour them when they've lost both their leaders, sort of. Starscream's open to interpretation as his leadership is.
Yeah, right. So the movie begins with Unicron in his planet form with his ring around himself, moving through space. By his sun and other stars, a glimpse inside of him shows orbs of energy and other things as he's heading towards Cybertron. And I like how we see Cybertronian families, or was this Cybertron, or was it a different?
It is actually another planet. It's a planet Lithone.
Because
it's just another cybernetic.
Lithone. That's right.
Yeah, and I think there's some rumor or backstory that had been added over the years that perhaps Lithones are related to Cybertronians, or they could just be their own species entirely. It's kind of been, never explained really, as far as I know.
Because on that. There are so many Cybertronian beings out there. It's almost like that. I'm like, oh my god, they got Junkions, they got Cybertronians, Lithionians. So yes, Unicron descends upon this planet and just starts eating it. And beautiful. I love how they use his horns, how they go into the side of the planet.
Yeah, he just starts like pinching it and
Your
pulling it
audio's
in
cutting
towards
out
him.
again.
Is it cutting out again? Oh, this bloody thing.
Yeah.
Okay, let's make sure. Test.
Yeah.
Here we go. Stay on here. Okay.
Okay, yeah. You're coming in now, but it's like every couple minutes.
Okay. I'll try not to move. I'll sit real still.
Yeah. Sorry about
Yeah.
that. It's
This part of the intro is like they don't say anything. It's just Unicron comes out of a sun or somewhere, and the music and animation is just amazing and really dark for an intro. Like he just comes out and just like massacres an entire like planet. And one thing
yeah.
I want to note, obviously there's some animation errors, but the quality of the animation never falters. But one thing I did notice on my rewatch this morning was you've got kind of a shopping mall entrance where like kids are running around, and then you kind of cut back to like a corridor hallway and the kids are running through it, and you have the scientists and stuff. And honestly, it really kind of reminded me of I think it came out that year was Aliens, where you've got the Weyland Yutani colony on, what was that, LV 429, and they've got everything going on in the corridor, and there's the kid riding the bike around, and like it very much kind of reminded me of that, which it was very interesting because those both came out at the same time. But it was I think the Aliens one with the kid on the bike was kind of a nod to maybe The Shining a little bit. So that was probably from something different, but it's interesting how like it's got the kids running through the hallway and everybody's this fucking audio. Here I am. Here I am.
Okay, you're back again now.
Okay.
Yeah, you're back now.
Okay. So yeah, and so then the similarity is that this is a place that's about to meet its fucking doom. Just the same as Aliens.
Yeah.
Like, these people are screwed. Not from infestation, but from a massive planet-eating transformer. So yeah. I love, and this intro is best enjoyed with the lights off because of the flashing lights. Unless you have epilepsy, I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that I couldn't stop laughing at when I saw this sequence was the chomping noise of when you see inside, you hear this. I'm like, are you fucking serious right now?
Yeah, that might have been a sensor thing to maybe make it not so dark. Like, I've seen that in other movies.
It had to have been.
Like, Jurassic Park did the same thing. Like, when the raptor, like, tries to escape in the beginning, they have the Roadrunner go, meep, meep. And then, like, later in the movie, like, when Dennis Nedry slips down the muddy hill, it's all, whoop! Like, he slipped on a banana peel. It's like, so I don't know if that was to, like, appease the censors, be like, it's too dark, you guys need to make it a little bit lighter, please. It's gonna really scare children.
Yeah.
And so just why they did that, I don't know, but you have a good point there.
Yeah. And then we get then we also see how the nourishment nourishes his systems and body, because the lights all around his ring just light up. And they actually did some good detail with that. One thing people always notice with anime is you have very repetitive shots, meaning your background is limited to like 6 to 10 at most frames. When you have a foreground character, they lower the frame, or they lower the page for the background to to like 6 at most. I mean, when you see people, or when you see characters like Goku flying around to evade blaster or energy blasts in Dragon Ball Z, like when he's running from Cell, or like when Gohan was running from Cell, it's literally, you feel that there's motion, but it's literally just the same shots repeating over and over to make to give the illusion that they're actually evading.
Right, you're absolutely correct. Earlier in the week when we were first coming up with doing this, I reposted it with a GIF of Hot Rod running, which happens earlier in the movie. And he's running through the grass, and it's just literally the same like 2 frames over and over again, and it just looks like he's going faster across the ground, but really he's just putting a foot forward and putting a foot back. But you are absolutely correct on that.
Yeah. And so then we get this mechanically psychedelic title sequence. I mean, they go through like the Owen Transformers, and then you get the names. We get the nice little title sequence that's pretty 80s when after Star Wars came out. And then we get that this movie has a narration. It takes place in 2005, folks.
Right in the future. That is so in the future from this film, isn't it?
1986. Yeah, they thought in 1986 that we would have flying skateboards with jet propulsion.
Well, isn't that interesting that this was years before Back to the Future Part 2, because that was 89. And so Daniel had the hoverboard way before 2015. So when Marty McFly found
it. First hoverboard.
Yeah, hashtag first hoverboard. And what does Daniel do? He goes about 10 feet and breaks it on a fucking rock.
Yeah, and then freaking I think it's Hot Rod that actually saves him.
Yeah, that's right. It is Hot Rod that saves him.
And one of the funny things about Hot Rod, he is voiced by the criminal from Breakfast Club.
That's right. None
Judd
other
Nelson.
than Judd Nelson. That's
so,
right.
So 1985, Judd Nelson gets lucky with the princess, and then 1986 he saves the universe.
That's right. Who knew
you can't get much better than that,
right? Who knew that a high school dropout from Shermer, Illinois, would go on to save planet Earth and Cybertron? So good on him for that.
Yep.
And he actually did later return to do the voice of Hot Rod again in Transformers Animated around 2010, 2009, 2010, believe it or not. So he did reprise his role there, which was nice to have him kind of come back to the fandom. And yeah, just a little side note there.
Yeah. Was that the one with the Minicons?
No, that was Armada from 2002. This was
that was Armada.
The animated series from like 07 to like 09, which was so underappreciated, and it's on Tubi if anybody ever wants to watch it. I highly recommend it if you never have. Fucking great series, animated. Love that one. So
and then Hot Rod is played by Omar Sy in The Last Night, and it's like,
God,
thank God that I could see why Judd Nelson never or didn't come back to play Hot Rod for that one, because this movie was fucking terrible.
God, that movie, like,
I mean, I would have loved to see Unicron in that movie,
right?
But unfortunately, they kind of wrote themselves into a corner because Unicron's literally in the Earth, and I'm like,
that's
what?
Yeah, that's another deeper part of the lore. Occasionally, because. All right, let me. There's so much here to unpack, but I'll unpack it in like a 5-second turnaround. So in some, so Unicron is a singularity. So no matter what Transformer universe it is, it's always supposed to be the same Unicron. So he's the same Chaos Bringer, same killer across the multiverse. He's the same one. There's no multiple ones of him. He's always the same one, apparently. And so sometimes, though, in those multiverses, he's inside planet Earth. And sometimes he's not. And in Transformers Prime from like 2011, 2012, he was planet Earth. He was awakened inside there, and they had to destroy him to save him from destroying Earth. So in some continuities, he's inside the Earth, like frozen in there, or like whatever, or stuck. And then some like this, he's just kind of floating around space saying, "Hey, I'm hungry. I'm coming for you." So and
I like him more as the Galactus kind of killer. Where he's not literally inside the Earth, because the Eternals did that terribly.
Oh God, fucking Eternals! God damn it! That's a discussion for another time. Probably not. No.
Yeah. So then we get the Decepticons are ruling Cybertron. Apparently, they won the war for Cybertron.
Yep.
And there's 2 Autobot staging grounds on the Cyber Moons. And they plan to retake Cybertron, but Laserbeak is very good at surveillance, so Megatron now knows about the plans. And he decides to go on a hunt and take over an Autobot ship. And he shrinks and turns into literally Han Solo's DL-44.
Yeah, his
and I'm
Megatron,
like,
yeah.
I'm thinking to myself, Megatron, don't you usually lead the assault? But I guess you're such a pussy that you're gonna just turn yourself into the gun.
Yeah,
Whatever.
he's known to do that a lot, and his form is actually a Walther P-38, and it's got a full scope on it. So it's a handgun, it's a pistol, but the thing
Yeah.
is, it's got a scope and like stock on it, which is like I've never
It
fired a
almost looks,
handgun
yeah.
with a scope and a stock on it. It's just like I don't. I'm like, what? But yeah, and in the TV show, yeah, he turned into the gun all the time, and he would just jump into the hands of his lieutenants, and they would just shoot him around and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Walther was the gun that he turned into, which was a different version of the gun. Is what James Bond also used, was the Walther, and
Yeah, he uses a Walther PPK or a PP7.
yep, that's right. You are absolutely correct on that. And years ago,
I
when
had
I purchased
GoldenEye for the N64, so.
when I purchased my first firearm, I had to kind of
And
make a
then,
decision on what it would be, and I chose the
yeah,
Walther because of this. Actually.
yeah. So then we get a shot of Earth, and Hot Rod is
Or
with
I don't mean to stop you there, but I can't help but mention what happens in the shuttle there.
oh yeah.
One of the big shockers very early on in the movie is just the absolute massacre of beloved main cast
Mm-hmm.
characters from the TV show. They just fucking kill them. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm still shocked at it to this day. And the heavy
Yeah,
metal music kicks in.
yeah.
It just blow them
It's or
away.
Ironhide.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ironhide is killed right
Yeah.
off. And it's like,
And
the fuck?
Ratchet, Prowl,
Yeah.
Brawn, they're all just slaughtered. And like to a heavy
Yeah.
metal song, and you're like, what? It's like balls to the wall. This movie straight up is showing you that, for one, in the beginning, we're gonna eat a planet, and two, your characters are gonna fucking die, and you're gonna love it, and you're just like, what am I in for? And this is just sets up the antithesis of the fucking 80s, where it's just like balls to the wall, greed. We're gonna do what we want, and you're gonna like it, and it's just like, wow.
Yeah. I mean, they took no prisoners, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody dies pretty much almost everybody dies.
Yeah.
It's the
Almost.
Transformers that you never heard of that are basically alive after.
Yeah, because the story behind that is a lot of the main cast characters were departing, because they had Scatman Crothers, and they had Casey Kasem, whose voices you hear in the beginning of this movie, Jazz and Cliffjumper. But they were getting ready to leave the show. Casey Kasem, behind the scenes, was having problems with everything, so they were getting in a whole new cast of characters and voice actors and toys, and so this was a way they wanted to give them their send off. And holy
Yeah,
shit, did they
just kill
fucking
them.
go out? Yeah, it's not like just sideline them. No, they fucking murder them, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, we're gonna make you go out in a blaze of glory.
Yeah, you'll never forget when you lost your toys on screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, then we get to the fishing scene, and Hot Rod is with a human, Daniel, which is pretty awesome in my opinion. Great name for a kid in this movie.
Right.
And Hot Rod has this giant fucking fishing pole.
Right? It's got to be the size of like
I'm
a
like,
light pole or something. Yeah.
yeah, it's like, dude, this looks like 2 or 3 flagpoles put together. And it literally looks like it's an actual fishing pole. Open reel, everything. And I'm like, don't question it. It's 80s.
Yep. Exactly.
I mean, this is the time, folks. Back in the 80s was the time that you can literally get away with saying, don't question it. It's entertainment.
Right?
Because movies were just so bad they were good.
Right? This
nowadays,
day and age, yeah. This is the day and age
nowadays people care.
You could paint your garden shed and not have city council tell you couldn't. This was the 80s.
Yeah.
You could get away with painting your own garden shed back then. Now, well, look at it.
I mean, back then you could also save rainwater.
Right?
But yeah, 80s was. I was born in 85, but I lived in the 80s. So for the first or when I was 2 to 3 or 2 to 5, it was great years. Or 2 to 4, it was great years.
Yep.
That I can remember.
The idea was to be bold in the Cold War because we were going to get nuked and we were going to nuke Russia. So live for the moment. Greed is good, as Michael Douglas said in Wall Street, and get everything you fucking want. Make as much money as you can because we're all going to die. That was the thought throughout the 80s.
Push the capitalism as best as you could.
Bingo.
And then nobody died.
Exactly. So with this movie, it's like, why were they killing off the characters? Well, Hasbro had 3 properties at the time that were big. They had My Little Pony, G.I. Joe, and Transformers. They had other properties, yes. But those were the big 3. My Little Pony, popular among girls and the TV show, but the movie flopped. So then they had to push big, and Transformers was hot, and they had to, strike while the iron was hot. And so the show had already gone for 2 years, and they needed to up the game. Well, the truth is, this movie's fun, but they upped the game way too much in this, and they tried to basically push it out before it really was ready to. And that's the antithesis, the greed of the 80s. So,
yeah.
And then what do we
cut out a little bit at the end there?
I'm sorry. Check.
So say what you were saying again. Just
okay. So yeah, we were talking about Hot Rod and the Fishing Pole, and then what does the movie cut to? Another song, and that's one thing about this film is it's a heavy metal rock and roll soundtrack, and it's time for another song.
Yeah,
and he gets on his hoverboard.
And they use a couple songs. They actually use a couple songs over or more than once. Especially "You Got the Touch," and I'm like, that song is just so cringe. I love it.
It's so over the top bad.
And yeah, it is. It's pure '80s kid song, but it's rock and roll.
That's right. You can.
So then, they gotta go to or back to Autobot City because that's where they talked about with Optimus Prime sending Ironhide to Autobot City to get some more energon to help feed the machine of war to win back Cybertron. Right. But
it's basically
the Decepticons are pulling in with. Go ahead.
It's basically an arms race if you look at it. Because they're all
it's reflective.
Reflective of the time it was from. It was an arms race. So because you can see they were manufacturing weapons to retake Cybertron, so it was just a big arms race that they had going on there.
Yeah. So then Hot Rod and Daniel notice the hole in the side of the ship as the Decepticons are coming in, and Hot Rod's like, "Well, fuck that! I'm going to start shooting." And everybody's like, "What is that idiot doing?"
Right? He's just like, he sees a hole and he's like, "Decepticons, shoot him."
Yep. And it's like, oh shit, dude. You'd be, if this was military, oh my god.
Right?
Way to start a fucking war. But it's like, okay, we'll put it aside because you were right.
Right? And the person he shoots in the hole of the shuttle is Starscream, and Starscream just falls on his ass.
He's like, what the fuck? Ow, damn, shit.
Yeah, it's like, what? They didn't believe it was their own shuttle with a giant hole in it?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, dude, that thing has a giant hole in it. What the fuck did you think happened? So then we get this battle, and they have to transform Autobot City into fortress mode, apparently.
And it's Metroplex. Secretly. Yep.
We get introduced to Ultra Magnus, who everybody thinks is going to be the new. This is so great misdirection.
Yes.
Everybody thinks because Ultra Magnus looks like Optimus Prime, he's going to be the new hero. He's going to be a major role. It ain't that.
Nope. And
so
his
when
voice,
they change Autobot City, I love how Starscream blows off his own foot to get out of there.
He's like, "Ow, my foot!"
Like, yeah,
that
he literally says it too.
Yeah, and that is Starscream, of course, was the same voice of Cobra Commander by the late great Chris Latta.
Yep.
Who, if you've ever read anything or heard anything about Chris Latta, what a fucking guy, and what a life he lived. So short, though, unfortunately. Yeah. And then, of course, Ultra Magnus is voiced by none other than the late great Robert Stack, and from Unsolved Mysteries, and just he's great. But you are absolutely right. That is this perfect misdirection, because he's got that good strong voice. He's a big strong Autobot, red, white, and blue, and he commands all the guys. He's a big truck. You're like, duh, he's going to be the fucking leader here. Yeah. So
well, doesn't he in one universe or another actually become Magnus Prime?
In Transformers Animated, if I recall, he's part of the Elite Guard, and he's very, very much by the book. So he's not the friendly Ultra Magnus you kind of get in this one.
Yeah.
So yeah, Animated has a very different interpretation of him, and he's got a big hammer.
Yeah. But anyway, we see a lot of we get introduced to the Constructicons that make up Devastator, who does not look like that freaking monster with wrecking ball balls in Transformers 2 Revenge of the Fallen.
Yeah, no, he doesn't look like the enemy's scrotum. No.
Yeah, he doesn't look like that thing. But I will say, and a lot of people give Transformers 2 shit.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have a Transformer that just part of that Transformer's transformation fries your freaking keyboard, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, they literally had to they had to chop down his transformations into different things, because if they loaded it too big of a file, it literally smoked up your keyboard.
Yeah, that
during
that Devastator in Revenge of the Fallen, a much different design, but I'm actually kind of a fan of it. I kind of like it. It's different.
I liked it too. Believe me, I liked it too.
Yeah, it was something
one of the twins
different.
Is just fucking his face up.
Right? It's just
it was. It really was.
Just a carbon copy of like, look, here's Generation 1 Devastator now. It's like, no, they took the time to do something different. And I actually like how they like kind of forcibly pull each Constructicon together kind of brutally. And I was like, yeah, that's probably how it would happen. Now, as far as like the individual robots,
they gave him weight in that movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but in this one, it's all fluid transformation. They jump together, they click really quick, and he's a giant motherfucker, and he's beating the shit out of the city. Well, then they start, or then we get a couple others coming in, launching big ass freaking shellhead missiles at him.
Right,
and then it's like. He just turns and he's like, "What the fuck are you doing? Why are you all dying so easy?"
Right? He just rips the piece of the wall off, throws it, and he's ripping the wall open. And Megatron says that famous line, "Let the slaughter begin." I love that one from Frank Welker right there. And they literally have just slaughtered so many Autobots. Like, you catch a quick glimpse of it, but you see Windcharger and Wheeljack are dead, and RC is just like, "What do I do?"
Oh shit.
Yeah, like that's another brutal moment right there, because those were well-known characters from the TV show, and you're just like, now they're fucking gone, and you're like, what?
Yep. And then we see they continue to show a little bit, and then they shoot the next day, and after the battle has died down, the city's pretty much in ruins, and that's when Optimus shows up with the Dinobots. With Gridlock and the rest of them, and Swoop, I believe his name is, the pterodactyl.
That's right. He shows up with Grimlock, Slag, and Swoop, and Sludge. Now, the other Dinobot, the Stegosaurus Snarl, he's not in the movie. However, he does show up later on in one single frame, and then he disappears for the rest of the entire movie. If you blink, you miss him, but he is in there. but he doesn't ever
Yeah.
show up for anything else. But yeah, Prime shows up in the shuttle, which is weird because I
And
think
he's
Prime has Sunstreaker with him in the shuttle, but Sunstreaker was just on the
yeah.
ground with Cup, which like there is errors in this,
Yeah.
but the quality of the animation
Yeah.
never falters. It's
It's great.
fucking beautiful. I'm gonna
Yeah.
about to go on something divergent here, but back to the 80s, the main animation that ruled the 80s was Don Bluth animation. And he had worked for Disney some years
All right,
before.
stop 1 second because your audio's cut.
Oh, okay. Check 1 2 test.
Just give it a
test.
couple seconds before.
Sure.
Okay, now you're back.
Okay, sorry. I didn't
Now
even
go
move
back to your thing for. Now
Okay.
continue with that so people can.
Okay, yeah. So I was talking
it.
about Don Bluth animation was what ruled the 80s. You had like Secret of Nim. You had All Dogs Go to Heaven. And Disney had really taken like a back seat as far as like things going on in the 80s. Like sure, Disney had movies, but they weren't commercially successful until the very end of the 80s. So you had animation. We're still on the show here? Still going? Okay.
Sorry about that, folks. I accidentally was cleaning off the mouse pad on my thing, and I accidentally made it go backward.
Oh, okay, we're still here.
Continue. Sorry about
Yeah.
that.
So, anyways, yeah. So there was a lot of other studios that took forefront for like animation in the 80s, whereas like Disney had some good films, but they suffered commercially through the most of the 80s. So you had other people and other studios able to step forward. You had movies like Land Before Time. You had American Tail, and then Disney didn't hit big until the very, very end of the decade. So this decade gave room for like other quality animation outside of the big D, which I really appreciate about this film. So, anyways, that's my little tangent about that.
Yeah. Yeah. There.
So then,
bottle of water. Sorry, folks.
That's all right. Let me grab something to drink here. Hopefully, my audio doesn't go out. It doesn't like me moving.
I'll let you know.
Okay.
And so we get the obvious fight between Megatron and Optimus, and Optimus gives the famous line, "One shall stand, one shall fall." And it's like, that is such a heroic thing. And then Optimus starts getting his ass kicked. And you think that he's going to lose. And then the Dinobots get in, and he gets the upper hand, and he's won the battle. He's effectively got Megatron at gunpoint. And then somebody, or I think it's Hot Rod, that stepped in.
That's right.
And got his ass taken hostage, and Megatron blows the shit out of Prime. And it's like, well, that sucks. They fucking killed Prime like 20 minutes into this show, or into this movie, folks.
Right? Yeah,
Optimus Prime.
Yeah, fuck. He lands, they play the touch, and what does Optimus do?
Yep.
He drives into the battle and starts running everybody over and just plowing them down. He just runs the Decepticons over. And then he gets flames on the bottom of his truck when he jumps, and he just shoots the shit out of everybody. Like, holy crap.
Oh, yeah.
So then he confronts Megatron. They do their fight. And then, Optimus or Hot Rod runs in there, and because he sees Megatron is reaching for a gun. And if I recall, I'm a nerd, so I believe that is Astro Trains.
He's dropping out.
Oh, no.
You're dropping out.
I'm still here. I don't want to go anywhere.
Okay, good.
Still here. Okay, so I believe he grabs Astro
back.
Train's gun, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
And then, because he's trying to stall him, he's like, "No more Optimus Prime! I beg for mercy!" And he's like, "You who are without mercy now plead for it? I thought you were made of sterner stuff." Yeah. And of course, Hot Rod jumps in there and becomes the human shield. So thanks, Hot Rod, you jackass.
Yep. And then and then fucking Prime gets killed. He gets blasted. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Now, the dark tones in this film are really sold, but because the others made it in, the Decepticons end up retreating, and Optimus gives up the Matrix. I love how he discolors as he dies.
Right? Like, it's like his life force drains and goes with the Matrix.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then...
And they give it over to Ultra Magnus.
Great part of the movie right here.
So you think Ultra Magnus is going to be the new leader, right? Well, nothing happens with the damn thing. Unicron is aware of the death of Prime, and the Matrix is out there because they cut to him roaring.
Yeah.
It's like, roar!
Like, he feels that Matrix
what the fuck's
energy.
got your goat? Yeah, it's like, dude, what the hell's got your goat? I mean, is that a fart or something, or what?
Right,
because you look like you're expelling something.
Yeah, he was probably off in the galaxy, like going pee, and like he sees the Matrix, and he goes to zip up real quick, and he gets the beans above the Frank, and he's like, zip. Oh,
shit!
He's like, I am a giant ball after all. So Space Testicle gets pissed.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Ultra Magnus,
and then we get Ash.
Oh, and there's a key animation piece in there that's like a foretelling of what's going to happen with Ultra Magnus in the Matrix. It's because he puts it in his chest wrong, which is really neat. They didn't have to do that, but you kind of notice, you're like, did I just see him put it in and then take it back out and put it in and adjust it? Yeah, it just kind of shows that he's literally not fit for it, which is very, 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 very neat. I like that little bit of detail they put into this.
It is a hint. Yeah, it's a nice little hint for him. And then we get Astro Train. He's like, dude, if we don't dump some bodies, I'm not making it to Cybertron. And so Starscream dumps all the wounded and Megatron. And then we see infighting in the frickin' thing. And then we get the Unicron takes in the wounded, upgrades Megatron to Galvatron from Frank Welker to Leonard Nimoy. And I love how the scene as Unicron upgrades him.
Yes.
And he can also see right through Megatron. He's like, dude, you have your bargaining power is for shit. Your bargaining posture is dubious.
Yeah.
You're gonna serve me, and you're gonna fucking like it. Otherwise, I'll just kill you.
Yeah,
I don't care.
He's like, proceed on your way to oblivion. And then Megatron's like, I accept.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he literally
because he was literally gonna do a humongous blast on him.
Yeah, he was just gonna vaporize him with all that energy.
Yeah.
And I love how this animation sequence, he just strips him down to nothing. You see the gears, the insides, the eyeballs. You see the interior of Megatron because he's literally been stripped down to nothing simply by Unicron's thought, which is absolutely fucking fantastic.
Yeah. And I love how they freaking then just paint over the new skin for him. And then he also does it to Starscream and the others, or not Starscream, but the other wounded and whatnot.
Yeah, I believe the wounded are Thundercracker and Skywarp, and then some of the Insecticons, I believe. And it's a debate over who becomes who that has never been resolved to this day, but I think all of them become those characters. So you get some Insecticons that turn into Cyclonus, and
say that
Skywarp.
Again.
Oh, sorry. So you get some Insecticons that turn into like Cyclonus's Armada. You get some that turn into the Scourge and like the sweeps and stuff like that. So it's not just one character that gets turned into one of them. It's like a whole bunch of them. So yeah, because there's been the debate in the fandom for years about who gets turned into who, and the argument never ends. So, but I love the animation in this sequence.
Yeah. And then, Galvatron arrives on Cybertron while Starscream is getting his coronation, and they start. I love it. He's like, "Would you shut up with those fucking trumpets?" Boom! Shoots
their trumpets.
The horns off the trumpets, It's like, shut up for a moment. I'm trying to get crowned. Well, then Galvatron comes up and he's like, oh, Megatron, is that you? Let me give you a hint. And he just fucking vaporizes Starscream.
Right?
Folks, when I said that nobody lives in this, I mean nobody lives.
Nobody lives. It's another death, because you just had Optimus die. You had Megatron die. Now Starscream died. Like, it's just, yeah.
Ironheart. All the main characters are dying. It's literally a passing of the torch.
Yeah, no fucks given.
Yeah.
Move out of the way. We need to sell new toys, and you're dead.
Yeah. And I love how Galvatron crushes the crown. It's like, I ain't here for a crown, but you all are gonna serve me.
Yeah, fuck tradition and royalty. We serve Unicron now, basically. Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
Yeah. It's like, I am your ruler, but I'm not going to tell you that that I'm also a ruled being myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with his new power, it's going to come.
And then Unicron ends up coming for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And let's see here. Blur is also hilarious. Yes. When Galvatron attacks Earth, or hold on, or no, we're out of order. Unicron comes after Moonbase 1,
right,
killing all of them on there,
right,
and then Moonbase 2, and I love one of the lines in here by Spike. Oh shit! What are we gonna do now?
Yeah,
I'm like,
the famous
kid
line.
Movie.
Yeah, that was
it's the kid movie.
That's the thing, is about where like Disney didn't have a stranglehold on stuff, so you had a lot more darker, like, adult elements in animation back then. It wasn't dumbed down. Whereas, like, you look at animated films today and they're coerced by a number of small studios. This back in the day was like no fucks given, and you did what you wanted to do. Like, I look back at some of the animated films I watched from my childhood and I'm like, damn, this shit was dark, but I fucking loved it. And God, they don't make movies like, you wouldn't get this in a movie for kids these days, for like a toy advertisement like this. But yeah, no, Spike's really famous "oh shit" line.
Yeah, it's like, oh my god. And then he goes after Moonbase 2. We see Bumblebee and Spike try to get away. Not so lucky.
Yep.
And I'm like, they killed Bumblebee as well. Fuck! But it turns out he's not dead later on. Yeah. Now, Blur is so fucking funny with his fast speech. He's like, we gotta just, the Decepticons want to get on the ship. Fuck. Well, he doesn't say fuck, but it's like,
yeah, you could imagine
everybody else he was get the Dinobot.
Yeah, because they're like, we shoot him off the wall, we shoot him out of the air, we shoot him out of the air, then where's the guess? Nowhere. That's where. Yeah, John Moshida, the Micro Machine Man guy, he was great as Blur. Yeah. I really liked him as Blur.
Yeah. And then Galvatron's like, Unicron, those are fucking my moons, man. You know? Yeah, and he's like, oh shit, ow, 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 ow. Yeah. I'm sorry. Okay, I'll listen to you. I'm sorry. Fuck.
Yeah, he's got
because Galvatron. Unicron's like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, he's got Galvatron behind the paywall there,
surging him. Yeah, and he starts surging Galvatron with energy, and he's like, okay, I'm sorry, I'm gonna listen to you.
He's like, we belong to him.
That's better. Know your place, peasant.
Which the voice of Cyclonus there, his lieutenant, is you and I had talked about this briefly because I remember asking you some questions. That's the voice of Harry Mudd from Star Trek. And anybody listening that's a Star Trek fan, obviously, you know, you're familiar with Harry Mudd. And so you have Harry Mudd voiced alongside Spock, basically, which is a really cool nerd moment right there. So yeah, just geeking out a little bit. So Harry Mudd from the original series, cough cough, not from any fake wannabe Star Trek series, cough cough.
Yeah, this new shit is for the birds.
God, it's fucking garbage.
But
80s, we had the balls to even kill off good characters. Now they just keep shitty shows around full of shitty characters, and just like, why? So, fuck.
No. Kill off all the great ones and totally disrespect them while you're at it. 86 gave you a heroic and respectful death.
Right?
2010s gave you shitty deaths
Right?
and very disrespectful legacies.
Right?
And Star Wars, folks.
And here's another throwback to Aliens, which came out this time, where what was that? Vasquez and what's his fucking name? The guy, they didn't get along in Aliens, but they blew the grenade together to blow up the aliens when they're in the shop. I forget his name.
Gorman
like,
and Vasquez.
Yeah, Gorman. Was that Gorman?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, you always were an asshole.
Yeah, it was Gorman.
Yeah, and they're just like,
you were always an asshole, Gorman.
Yes, you're always an asshole, Gorman. They had the balls to fucking... Yeah, that's right. Vasquez, she's the one that had the balls. They had the balls to go out together and like just fucking slow the aliens down. And you compare that to shit now, and you're like,
yep.
What a bunch of fucking garbage. But this is from that era of great writing and just all out. And
oh yeah. And so then Galvatron attacks Earth to get Ultra Magnus and the Matrix of Leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And we get the space chase and the Autobot Gambit where they blow up 3/4 of their ship. Cup and Hot Rod are in a mechanical ocean of piranha and squid. Mechanical piranha and squid.
Who and what are these? Don't know. Don't care.
It's like, don't ask. Just consume.
Right?
And then the other Autobots.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I keep interrupting you.
The other Autobots are crashing in on another planet, and Daniel gets a cyber suit, and he's a fast learner because he tries standing around, and then he falls down, and then he gets up and does a fucking flip. I'm like, quick learner, kid. Daniel. Right. I love that name, man. Keep it up.
Yeah.
Makes all Daniels look good.
Right. Yeah, Springer like terrifies him because Springer is this like, it's rough out there, kid. And like Daniel's like, what? And then RC's like, here's your dad's exosuit. And he's like, Dad's exosuit.
Yeah. And then we are a bunch of scavengers known as the Junkions find them. And then we get cut to a Hot Rod fixing up Cup.
Mm-hmm.
And they have visitors too. And we get the universal greeting. Mm-hmm. Ba weep grana weep nitty bong.
Ba and I'm like, grana weep nitty bong.
Yeah. And I'm like, they all start saying it. And then he's like, give him some Energon or give him some Energon traits, and they'll be nice. And well, that doesn't exactly go their way.
Nope.
And we get this Imperial Magistrate, and it's like, innocent or guilty? Innocent, kill him. It's like, the fuck?
Yeah, the Imperial Magistrates, I swear those are the same people today that moderate Twitter.
Yeah, right?
It's the exact same thing, like guilty, and you're like, I didn't fucking do anything. It's just like 7-day suspension, and you're like, I have nothing but contempt for this court.
You get kicked off of Twitter.
Right? How do you plead? Yeah. I'm innocent. Guilty. And the whole council here with the Quintesson faces like guilty. That's definitely a nod to Superman the movie. The very beginning when Zod is being put into the Phantom Zone, and they're like, how do you plead on your charges? Like guilty, which I love. Guilty. I love that intro, by the way. That's a great fucking movie.
Yeah. And so then they get sent to a little jail. We see Wheelie and the Dinobots, we then see Wheelie and the Dinobots are looking for their friends, and Wheelie comes in smacking around the Dinobots, and he's like, or talking in freaking poet rhyme.
Right.
And I'm like, all right. Yeah.
And you know what's crazy is, I don't know if you saw who voiced Wheelie. Frank Welker.
I didn't.
Like, son of a bitch. Like, yeah, dude, this guy. Yeah. I gotta gush on Frank Welker for just a second here, because God, he's Megatron, he's Soundwave, he's Rumble, he's Ray from the real
Yep.
Ghostbusters, Fred from Scooby Doo. He was the monkey in Raiders of the Lost Ark, the one that ate the bad dates. I mean, this guy's done everything. Frank Welker is a fucking hero of mine. I absolutely love his voice work. And so,
Yep.
anyways, that's my little gush moment over Frank Welker. And I'm still planning the wedding day in Hawaii with him. So yeah, I just have to invite
Nice.
him to it. So I'll get to marry his voice. So.
Nice.
So, anyways,
And so we also, yeah. Now, Galvatron's reordered by Unicron to kill Ultra Magnus on the planet of Junk because he's like, yeah, Ultra Magnus tries using the Matrix, and he's like, please come to me in my time of need.
Nope.
Nope.
Please deposit
I'm
25
like,
cents.
yeah, and I'm thinking to myself, oh shit, he's fucked. Because Galvatron and his folks still get there, and he's like, now with this Matrix I shall enslave Unicron. And Unicron's aware of this. He's like, oh, fuck.
Mm-hmm.
After all the shit that I've done for this asshole, he's going to try coming here with this shit.
Mm-hmm.
So Hot Rod and Cup try to escape these Sharkticons, and because they got judged by the Imperial Magistrate, and they end up succeeding, and the Dinobots find them. Gridlock convinces the Sharkticons to turn on their master.
Yes, and the music, and of course we've got probably 10 songs in already by this point, and in comes another song.
Yeah.
I think the song is Hunger they play for this part, which it's on my workout mix. I have this song, and it's just one of my absolute favorites is Hunger. It's so over the top 80s. It's so good. Yeah. So yeah, just gotta gush about fucking the soundtrack.
Yeah, the soundtrack, seriously, it's got great songs. I couldn't remember the names of the songs, but they're just so freaking either cringe or great, and they're either so cringe that they're great, or they're so great that they're cringe.
Yeah, they just don't hold back. They're like, it's actually the words of this song are like, when I see what I want, I'm gonna take it. If it's against the law, you can bet I'll break it. I'm like, literally, that is the core of this film. Of just literally, like, oh, is that a description for the movie? I'm like, no, that's lyrics for the song.
Kinda.
Yep.
So then we see the auto. Yeah, and then we see the Autobots are mourning Ultra Magnus because he literally got ripped apart.
Yeah, dude.
And the Scavengers try to catch him.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Scavengers try to catch him. Hot Rod, Cup, and the Dinobots find and rescue the others with a new ship.
Yeah.
And we do the universal greeting again, which I am not repeating. And they all do a freaking Kumbaya dance with the Junkions and shit.
They play Weird Al's Dare to Be Stupid Again, which is, I love that song. That's probably one of the best songs on the soundtrack, and probably one of the most well known by people is his Devo-esque Dare to Be Stupid song. Because they talk
and
TV.
Folks, they talk all sorts of different TV commercial taglines from back in the days.
Right? And
no joke. I'm not joking.
Great about that is it's meme culture, but in 1986, it's foreshadowing that or meme or meme culture basically was coming from basically internet and TV addicts, and this movie nailed it. They called it. They said it was coming. So basically, the Junkions are us in a way. With all the pop culture references, so I fucking love them.
And they're also going to join in the fight against Unicron because they construct a ship out of junk. No shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, we will join you. But they say we're going to join you in their own little junk way.
Yep. And they start talking about, like, just kill Unicron, destroy the Grand Poobah, eliminate even the toughest stain. So it's like all these different commercials wrapped into one, and they all just get excited and start running into their ships. And it's like, all right, cool, just join in. So yeah.
And then we get to the best fucking scene ever.
Mhm.
Galvatron attempted betrayal.
Mhm.
I mean, and Unicron transforms, man. When Unicron
Yes.
freaking transforms, he's like, I was thinking about sparing your Cybertron,
Yeah.
but now you're going to witness its dismemberment.
Fucking
And
great
he
line.
just flies over to Cybertron and just starts ripping into it.
Right?
I'm like, fuck, dude.
Yeah, just
If
puts
I
his
ever
hand
see
in it.
something like that in real life, I would shit out my spine.
Right? And that's when the Autobots arrive, and Hot Rod's like, you know, because Cup tells his war stories, and he's like, Cup, you ever seen anything like this? And he's like, no.
Nope.
He's like, nope, I don't have an old war story about fucking this one. Which is that's
Yeah.
another great like little lead up, because you get Cup throughout the movie saying, oh, this reminds me of the Rock Bats of Dramadon 9. What'd you guys do? Oh, we did this. So he tells his old war stories, and then
Yeah,
suddenly
we had
he's like,
we created inertia or something like that. He's
yeah,
like,
we reversed
right, we created inertia.
polarities. Yeah. And
Or
so
yeah,
this
polarity.
time,
It's like,
this time Cup's just like, no, I got nothing, man.
I got nothing. It's like,
Which that tells you
you got a war
something.
story for this?
Yeah, nope.
No.
He's like,
I'm
you're
as good as
living it.
rookie here, man.
Yeah, if I recall, he says
And they
the line,
crash through his eye.
yes.
And it's like, okay, that's one way to get inside him. Because freaking Unicron eats Galvatron.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, yep, gonna taste a little morsel here.
Yep.
And I'm like, right, okay, that just happened. And then we get the assault on the Unicron, and they crash to his eye. And Hot Rod finds the Matrix and Galvatron.
Mm-hmm.
And then Galvatron's like, we're going to have to see him. Oh, fuck, not again. Unicron's like, yeah, kill him and give me the Matrix. Okay, I'll fucking do as you say. And Daniel and Spike reunite with Bumblebee as well.
Oh god,
And
this scene,
Daniel has his hero moment because his father's like, you're gonna have to turn it off or we're all gonna die.
Yeah, he's like, Daniel, hurry!
Yeah, sure, just
because they're being
it's
liquefied.
Like, dude, way to lay the freaking pressure on your kid.
Right?
Who's all of 12 years old.
Yeah, and this is another
but,
horrific
the kid pulls
scene.
through. And they don't take a dip in the purple acid.
Yeah, this is another horrific
because
scene
acid's
where
always purple.
They're literally liquefying like characters right in front of you, and you're like, oh my god. Like here's another murder of the character scene. And it's like, hey, here's some of the favorites. Here's Jazz and Bumblebee, and maybe Beachcomber and Sea Spray, and guess who's gonna die? And you're like, oh my god, this movie, is it gonna let up? No. 80, like it's 80 minutes.
Oh, and by the way, when they're melting, they show them melting.
Uh-huh. They're fucking dying.
So then they tag back to Hot Rod fighting Galvatron, and he's actually holding his own. Mm-hmm. And then he gets his hand on the Matrix, and you hear freaking Optimus like, "Behold, Rodimus Prime." I'm like,
yep.
They didn't just fucking say that.
Yep.
Rodimus Prime.
Rodimus Prime. That is one of the most awkward names I've ever heard. I'll be honest. It's just
Rodimus Prime. What the fuck?
Rodimus Prime. It wasn't really hard for them to come up with that one, was it? Like...
And how does he kill Unicron? He unleashes the Matrix, and it gives Unicron killer indigestion.
Right? Like,
and he blows up
or something, or like
it's like you got irritable bowel syndrome, dude, and it's going to kill you. He rips off his leg trying to stop the pain. They all escape through his other eye, and I'm like, oh my fucking god! Yeah, he literally dies from just that, or from all that energy. It's like, dude, I gotta take a shit really bad. Boom! And I'm like,
the Hot Rod.
Well, that's how you do it.
Rodimus Prime turns into a space Winnebago, which is funny because this was before Spaceballs. So there's right? The two best space motorhomes of the 80s was sorry, I haven't watched Spaceballs in a bit, but Spaceballs. Rodimus becomes a big space
One from
Winnebago.
Spaceballs and the other ones.
Yeah, and then they just drive out his eyeball. That's what they do.
Yeah.
They just get to drive out of his eyeball, and they drive through space to rock and roll music.
Yeah, and then we get the whole peace on Earth and unification shit,
Right?
and then we roll credits.
And
I'm thinking to myself,
Wi-
yeah, his head is floating around and it stops and then
Yes.
rolls credits.
Mhm.
Milton.
And then
Okay, we have a fucking troll, and I'm not even gonna.
I haven't even looked at any of the chat or anything because I don't want to be distracted. So
Okay, before I do anything,
trolls.
let me just read this idiot thing here.
Mhm.
This is a question that you. What? Okay, yeah, this is a troll. Blocking this user.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
I have no.
Yep.
You're not being put in timeout. You're blocked.
Yep.
Be gone. I have no patience for being stupid.
On your way to oblivion.
None. No patience.
Yep.
But yeah, so how would, from an objective standpoint, meaning without your bias, what would you rate this film?
Let's see. All right, so I'm trying to imagine myself never being a Transformer fan. Okay, let's just say I just sat down and watched this movie. I would probably say, what the fuck did I just watch? Like,
Yeah,
great animation, over the top heavy metal soundtrack, just slaughter of characters. I would probably say, was this meant for kids? You know, if I'm to take a 2022 kind of view, a moderate view, I would be like, was this supposed to be for kids? What was this? You know, just everything goes in this film, and I would probably rate it maybe 6 to 7 out of 10 just from that point of view, with being unbiased, without me involved in it, without my personal taste. I'd say it's got top quality, but just the outright carnage and music video pace of this film, I think overall kind of does do it a bit of damage. Because if you're not a Transformer fan, this movie's probably really not going to appeal to you at all, other than the fact that it's all out greedy 80s fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would.
All right. So subjectively,
yeah, I'd say 6 to 7.
or what do you think subjectively? 7? Yeah.
Subjectively,
all right.
like
For me, objectively,
Mhm.
there's some cinematic problems. There are some repetitive shots that are odd, but for the most part, you got a killer soundtrack. You got a nice score that really does fit the characters well.
Vince DiCola, yeah, I fucking love Bob.
You got great voice acting.
Mm-hmm.
So objectively, I would actually put this film at more of a 7 to 7.5 because there are problems.
Mm-hmm.
However, subjectively, I would put this movie at about an 8 because it's so bad it's good.
Yeah. Subjectively, this movie rates very high for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This moviegoer. Mm-hmm. This movie is like it's up there, man. Because if you are a Transformers fan, you will like this movie. Because it's entertaining to watch. Yes, you're seeing a bunch of characters die, and also Ultra Magnus does get revived because the Junkions slick him up, and polish him up and put him back together, and it's like, well, good on him, but he's still fucked up.
Yeah, he gets really.
But yeah, this movie it's so bad it's good. It's so bad it's good.
Yeah,
and I enjoyed watching it.
This is one of those movies. It's one of those movies. It just really is.
Yeah. And apparently they have another movie that took place like Generation 1 or something like that, where Starscream's looking for wants his old body back, and he's like, "You're gonna have to produce 3 labors."
Yeah, I think that was.
I saw that clip, and I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah, because in season 3, Starscream comes back as a ghost, and you get some involvement with Unicron's head, which actually those are some of my favorite episodes of season 3. when you get stuff that ties back into
Yeah.
the movie. And I think they actually did a really good job with those, but that's a discussion for a whole another time. So
Yeah. And then I do want to go to Transformers, the Michael Bay movies,
Mhm.
and to Armada for a bit, for
Mhm.
one moment.
Sure, yeah.
Starscream had one of the most spectacular deaths ever when he stood against Unicron with his minicon in Armada. He's like, "Fuck you! If I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna go out killing you."
Yep.
And Unicron
Yeah.
just atomizes him.
Yeah, I will be honest, I've seen parts of Armada, but it is a series I've actually never watched from beginning to end, and I've been intending to. I know it's free on Tubi, and I do have to probably go back and watch it. But it's a series that spots here and there I've missed, but I am familiar with the fact that yeah, he does stand against Unicron and pays the ultimate price. I am
Yeah.
aware of that. Yeah.
And
And
I
I think
like
they did a
Swindle,
good job.
his minicon.
Mhm.
Because I actually have a bunch of the minicons.
Yeah.
Because when I was younger, I bought some or a lot of them, and it's like I like these little fuckers, you know.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah,
cute.
I've learned
And
to
yeah,
appreciate Armada a lot more in time, whereas at the time it definitely was a big change, and it was geared towards kind of a Pokemon kind of generation, which was a lot younger
yeah,
than a lot of the fandom was already at the time, and so I kind of was out of it at that point, and I was like, all right, it's for little kids, but I've kind of come back to it like, hey, this is kind of cool, like
yeah.
yeah.
And then we got Starscream in the Michael Bay movies,
Mm.
where in the first one he's actually pretty cool.
Right? Yeah,
The
he's
second
quite
and
he's a
third
threat.
one,
Yeah.
he just is a little bitch, and he ends up dying like a bitch. Where he gets a
Yeah.
bomb stuck in his eye, he gets a harpoon stuck in his eye, and I'm
Yeah.
like, Starscream went out like shit in that third one, man. And it's like,
Mhm.
come on, man, give him a way better death than that.
Yeah, it's
I
because
can't say, I can't. Boom, boom. It's like
it's
that's
'cause
Starscream. Why
the
the fuck would you
writers
kill Starscream?
really didn't understand who these were as characters. And
Yeah,
that's proven time and time again in the Michael Bay films because you have Hot Rod in Transformers, The Last Night, and he's just some random French
yeah,
speaking robot, and you're like, it's like, you know what? Fuck you. We know who Hot Rod is. It's like you can't have Wolverine show up in an X-Men movie and have him be like some blue-haired land whale with a cat-infested apartment and just be like, oh, this is the Wolverine, because fans would be like, fuck you. But that's basically kind of what the Michael Bay films do with characters. They have them in name only, and you're just like, this isn't Hot Rod. It's just like, what a slap in the
yeah.
face. So yeah, and they did that with Starscream, and then me personally, I think one of the worst things they did with Starscream is they've had like 2+ films since he died in Dark of the Moon, and they've never brought him
Yeah.
back as a ghost, which is like, come on, we know Starscream is supposed to die. Okay, we get that. He died like a bitch, but to have him not
They
come
brought
back
his
as a
head back
ghost,
at least. They
yeah, that
brought his
was
head back.
right. That's one of
And
those
it's
things
like,
that kind of
really?
that it kind of tantalizes fans and thinking, oh, we're gonna get this, but it's for me that's nothing more than the Force
Just
Awakens showing Luke
slap in the face.
Skywalker's lightsaber in someone else's hand. Like it's just kind of like, if
Yeah.
you're gonna do it, do it. Don't tease me and lead me on thinking it's gonna be something good, because that's nothing but like a Luke Skywalker's lightsaber in someone else's hand kind of thing. And I'm like, that makes me mad when they do shit like that. So yeah,
Yeah.
those the Michael Bay films.
Yeah.
You gotta love to hate them. I guess that's all I can say. Some people really love those. That's fine. I like the first one in Dark of the Moon. The rest of them, it's
Not so much.
it's a miss. For me, it's a
Yeah.
misinterpretation of what Transformers is. Hey, you know what? They're balls to the wall, big action movies. That's fine. That's all they are. They're not. They're not anything deep. They're not anything poetic. It's just they're action movies for 12-year-old kids. That's all I can say. And they succeed. They've made a fuckload of money with those. I'm not going to take that away from them. Good on them for that. But as far as it being like core, really applying to the fans and the product, not so much. So Yeah, a little bit of animosity towards
Yeah.
the Bay films, but I still watch them.
Yeah.
It's been a while, but I've still watched
Yeah.
them, gone to all the theaters, seen them. It's yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
okay, so we've concluded 86 Transformers. I do want to thank you so much for coming in on or coming
Thank
on,
you.
dude. It's the news.
Yeah.
So for those of you who want to come on to the channel, if you want to, you get to choose the movie, the time, and the date for the stream. It's to your convenience. The only thing that I get to pick is the location, which is on my channel. So yeah, if you guys want to come on, it's a great time. We'll talk about a movie that you really love. And I got another one set up for tomorrow at 5 p.m. It's going to be with Channel 66, and we're going to be discussing A League of Their Own.
Oh, I
So
love that.
stay
I
tuned
love
for
that movie. Love that movie.
Yeah.
I won't say too much right here because I'll let you save everything for your stream. But yeah, that is a fun one, and I wanna tune into that one tomorrow. I'll definitely gonna be trying to listen in. So that's a good choice that for that one.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
And again, thank you for coming in.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on
So,
here.
folks, also stay tuned for next week's mystery. You're welcome. We're having some audio issues again.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yep. Hopefully next time
So
I'm on here
anyway,
with you, I will have a nice brand new headset. So.
Alrighty. Anyway, thank you so much for coming on, folks. Stay tuned for next week's mystery review. It's the hints are politics and ballet. If you know it, you know it. If you don't, feel free to guess. And stay tuned later. I'm going to have a video about Ezra Miller coming out because he's doing some more twisted shit. So yeah, this has been Orange Hat Review and guest. Yeah, this has been Orange Hat Review and guest, folks. Yep, have a good one and stay humble.